Hey everyone. If you found this deep dive helpful, you can find more of them on our Patreon, where we upload regular deep dives covering complex interview questions. To sign up, you can go to our Instagram bio and click the Patreon link. We look forward to having you on there. Thank you. Hey everyone, welcome back to another deep dive with FGC. It's your boys, Boris and Adamo.
Yeah,
How's it going, buddy?
good, brother. Good. Thanks to all you boys also for subscribing. We appreciate it. Big shout out to you, and thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Like we said before, it really helps out the podcast just grow and get better. So, yeah, much appreciated.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're doing another deep dive question, and today's question is going to be: tell us about a time you had to bend the rules and why. So, this is a really common question you'll get with most departments. Even though it's a pretty common question, people usually have a difficult time answering this question, right, Boris?
Yeah, exactly. And when we say common, it's going to be similar to this, right? Bend rules, times you were unethical, times you saw someone do something unethical, times you saw someone break a rule. So these are, like it almost said, very, very tough for some people to answer. So we'll just kind of go through the whole thing in a deep dive and kind of get you into the minds of recruiters to kind of understand what they're looking for in these types of questions, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, and like you said, Boris, like it might not be exactly word for word this question, but it could be a variation of this question, right? So just if you're listening to this, just be aware, like Boris said, it could be, a time that you saw somebody else breaking the rules, a time that you were less than honest. I know I've
Oh yeah.
heard that one asked before. But essentially, it's a time that another one could be a time that you went against company policy. But essentially, they're essentially asking you about a time that you were having to do something that you aren't supposed to do, and they want to know why, right?
Yeah. And that's why it's kind of like a tough one to answer because how far do you take it? Are you breaking rules that, are you going to sewer yourself? Are you going to make yourself look good? Like how do you answer this question, right? It's a pretty tough one.
It is for sure, yeah. So maybe Boris, what we'll do is we'll just let's go over like what they're asking in the question, like what the question is asking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And for you guys listening, we're probably going to do a lot of our deep dives this way. We're going to drop the question down, give some thoughts, then go over what the question's asking, what traits or skills they're looking for, and then how to answer it. So, if you guys like that format, or if you want to see the format be changed in any way, just let us know, and we'll do that for you guys.
And
Um,
just quickly too, I apologize. My allergies are insane over here. So, yeah.
if we lose if we lose subscribers, it's coming out of your pocket. Okay, buddy. So like you said, what the question is asking. So this question is testing your judgment and decision making under pressure. So what does the panel want to see here, Damo?
I guess they kind of want to see, like, do you blindly follow rules, or do you assess the situations with nuance? Can you justify your decisions based on your values and outcomes? Not just policies, right?
Yeah. Are you capable of taking calculated risks for the greater good? And when they say like, yeah, basically they want to get into your head, right? See kind of the way that you think about policies or procedures that essentially need to be broken because you're going to talk about how you broke this policy in your answer, right?
Yeah. And sometimes, certain policies or procedures do need to be broken in order to, say mitigate a safety hazard or in order to get a job done within, a timely manner or effectively or something, right? Sometimes certain things do have to kind of be bent a bit that way. Um, but like we said on the podcast before, like as long as it's not something illegal, something that's jeopardizing safety or
Mhm.
something that's unethical, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you're staying away from those three things, you're probably in the clear. Uh, like a basic example, I guess, would be you break the chain of command to tell your captain that there's like a power line down.
Yeah.
Obviously that's not really a policy to follow the chain of command. It's kind of like an unwritten rule, but you guys kind of hopefully understand what we're trying to say here by saying like you're breaking some sort of rule to get something done, right? You will have to do it in a way to get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. So what kind of like traits or skills are they looking for within this question?
Yeah, so obviously integrity, ethical decision making. So you have to be ethical in the way you choose whether you're going to break the policy or not, right? Situational awareness. That's, making sure that you understand everything that's happening around you before you potentially break a policy or break a rule. Problem solving under pressure, pretty straightforward as well, right? Just want to make sure that when you're put to the test, that you're going to make the right decision.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then, accountability and ownership, which are two really big things, right? Um, when it comes to like the result of this example that you give, right? Like you want to be able to, you know, take ownership of the fact that you did break the rule, but you broke it with good intention, right?
Yeah,
For a positive thing.
totally. They don't want to see you breaking a rule because you had to break a rule and it was the right thing to do, and then shift blame on somebody else. That's going to be a red flag for the recruiters.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The understanding of policy versus principle, um, and of course communication, and justification for your actions as well, right? They're not looking
Mhm.
for someone who's going to be like reckless, but they're looking for someone who understands why rules exist and when an exception is justified for a better outcome.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, if they relate this question to the fire service as recruiters, they're going to want to make sure that if you do have to break a policy within the fire department, it's not going to be detrimental to the department. It's going to make sense. It's going to be justifiable in the long run because they don't want a lawsuit. They don't want, your face plastered all over the media, any of that bad stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, buddy. Well,
Um,
yeah. How do
sorry, go
we?
ahead.
I was gonna say, how do we answer this question then? You want to go over? Obviously, it's a tough time, right? So we're probably gonna want to use the star format.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll use a star format for this, right? Um, you want to put some extra focus though on the ethical reasoning behind your actions, right? So
Mhm.
we came up with an example of someone who's a lifeguard, right? And the potential position that they could be in where they have to bend a rule, right? And also, just so you guys listening, like each deep dive episode, we're essentially trying to cater it towards, obviously people who are in careers that are, trying to become firefighters, right? So I think the last one we did, we used an example of like an auto technician. So just we're gonna vary the examples with different kind of jobs, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I mean, being a lifeguard is pretty common in the fire service. Like a lot of people coming up to be in the fire service do have some sort of lifeguarding experience or swimming experience. So hopefully, this example is relatable to some of you guys, and you can kind of see where we're going with this question. Obviously, you don't want to copy this answer or anything like that, but we just want to give you the example and hopefully make your job a little easier when you're answering.
Yeah, exactly. Just so it makes more sense for you, and provide this example as possibly a way for you to just kind of think around this question, and yeah. So we'll just go ahead and answer it. So a time you had to bend the rules and why? So while working as a lifeguard at a public pool, there was a strict policy that swimmers weren't allowed in the deep end without first passing a formal swim test. One day during a school visit, a boy panicked in the shallow end while a group of kids crowded the edge, making it difficult to reach him quickly through normal procedures. Without waiting for backup or completing the radio check in protocol, which was a rule meant to keep guards accounted for. I immediately jumped in, cleared the path, and pulled them out. I broke the check-in before entry rule because every second mattered then. The boy was fine and quickly recovered. Afterward, I filed an incident report and discussed with my supervisor why I acted the way I did. My decision was supported, and we reviewed the rule to clarify when urgent action overrides process. What this shows is I understand that rules exist for a reason, but when life or safety is at stake, I'm able to make fast, responsible decisions, and I take accountability afterwards.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, it's obviously following that star format, like you can kind of see within my answer where the situation was, what the task was, the action, the result, and then we almost added like a second ending to it of taking ownership um, for your actions, right? Going over that part, where I was talking about, I understand the rules exist for a reason, but when life or safety is at stake, I'm able to make fast, responsible, blah 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 decisions, right? Um, so it's a challenging question because I feel like a lot of people, when they hear a question like this, they assume that the the panel is asking them about a time that they lied or a time that they, had a couple too many beers and drove home
Mhm.
or something like that, and they end up suing themselves, right? So obviously in this example that we used, the rule that we broke was the check-in before entry rule into the pool, right? Into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah.
Um, but we seeing that there was a kid who needed help, we completely went around that rule and jumped in regardless, right? But it's something that's justifiable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I was just looking at our Patreon. Obviously this will be edited, but it looks like we did a company policy deep dive. That was our first one that we ever did on April 16th.
Well, this is a bend the rule, so fuck it.
Yeah. Fuck it. Okay. Obviously, yeah. Edit that, Francesco. Sorry, I was just kind of like it sounded so familiar, and then I kind of scrolled back, and I was like, uh, yeah. I don't really have much to say. Yeah, that's the recruiting panel wants to see that you can follow orders when you need to, but when you do need to break the rule, it's for a reason, and you take accountability, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
exactly. So yeah, that's our deep dive for today, guys. And yeah, we hope that this helps you out. And let us know too. Feel free to reach out to us, send us a message in the chat. If there's any questions that you want to hear specifically, like say you've already had an interview and you were stumped by some of the questions, um, let us know what they are, and we can do them on one of these deep dives.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for supporting Patreon. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Until next time.
Well, we have just created our Patreon program and it's online. We'll put a link in the description of this episode. It's got all our freebies on there. So it's got resume templates, the interview checklist,
the competitive edge checklist.
Yeah, competitive edge checklist.
And we're also going to be diving into more in-depth interview episodes and hiring process stuff. And we're going to be posting it on there. It really does help us out because then we're able to pay Francesco for producing this podcast. If it wasn't for him, we'd be hooped.
You guys missed the part where we were just trying to turn this microphone on before this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we wouldn't be anywhere without him. So we'd like to start paying him a lot more.
And it's also going to be a way for us to just upgrade to better audio equipment, better cameras, better lighting, and all that kind of stuff to bring you guys a better experience with this podcast.
Yeah, and that was your idea actually, Damo, with the whole going over every interview question kind of in depth and
Yeah,
and really getting into the interview panel stuff.
Yeah, we'll be going into that in really great detail, really breaking apart the questions and just talking about like what they're actually asking in these questions, right? And yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of info, a lot of really, really good info.
And if it's not, let us know. We also have a chat group in there as well on Patreon.
That's right.
So if there's, guests you want us to see, bring on, or if there's questions you want us to ask or talk about on the podcast, you're more than welcome to ask us on there.
Yeah, for sure. And like when it comes to those behavioral / situational type questions, we can break down a question and talk about it for probably half an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Just one question.
Easily.
So there's going to be a lot of really good info on that. And like we said, it's going to really help support the podcast so we can upgrade better equipment and also keep Francesco around so that way there is a podcast.
Chaining him down to the table would be too cruel.
Yeah. Right on.